What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is Wednesday, which of course means it's time for another Western New York Wednesday here on the channel. And the beer I'm reviewing today once again comes from the Southern Tier Brewing Company, and they are out of Lakewood, New York. And this is their Old Man Winter, the 2021 release. So they're calling this one a winter ale that comes in at 7.5% alcohol by volume, 57 IBUs at the time of review. This bottle is approximately 7 weeks old. So it's Thanksgiving Eve, and I thought this would be appropriate to review today because here in the Western New York area, more specifically the Buffalo, New York area, we've already had a couple snowfalls. So winter is on its way, even though officially winter is about a month away. Old Man Winter has already arrived here in the Western New York area. So I wanted to review this one. Plus, it's been a long time since I've had this one. I think it's been at least 6 years, maybe 7. And I've had this numerous times, but I've never reviewed it, and I wanted to give it a go. Why? It's relatively fresh at 7 weeks old. For some reason, this one is bottled in like mid to late September, so by the time it hits the shelves, it's already over a month old. It doesn't matter too much because this is basically a winter warmer. This is like an old school English winter warmer where they don't spice it. It's just basically core 4, malt, hop, yeast, water. That's it. So I am going to crack this one open and get it into the glass. So I remember enjoying this one, but not being enamored with it. Nothing crazy. Just like a nicely well balanced like imperial generic ale. That's pretty much what I remember being. Now the cap here is just a blank black cap. Can't believe they didn't put the Southern Tier logo on it like most of their other beers. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, hashtag proper glassware. Let's give it a pour, label out. Give it a nice pour like that. We'll pour the rest in a little bit. So that has this really deep copperish color. It's going to look darker on camera, maybe like a dark caramel or something. In person, deep orange, copper color, rust color. Has about a finger and a half, maybe a finger and a third of this light, very lightly tan color head. Some bigger bubbles, I should say medium-sized bubbles mixing with smaller bubbles. Not super compact, but a decent looking head. And I can see some alcohol legs at 7.5% already on it. So let's get a nose on this one. Yeah, so if you've never had like an old school winter warmer, because most of the winter warmers here in the United States, for the most part, they're spiced with, cinnamon, nutmeg, kind of like your pumpkin spices, are very similar anyway. I feel like old school, like English winter warmers like this, they don't have any spice. Everything's coming from the core 4 ingredients, and it's nice. There's caramel, maybe a little bit of molasses, almost like a nuttiness, almost like a slight imperial like brown ale kind of malt base here. And then the hops, they're earthy, they're dirty. It's kind of weird. It's like drinking or smelling like an old school like English pale or an ESB or something. Maybe a touch of like a floral aspect here, maybe a spiciness. Yeah, it smells well balanced. It smells nice. It reminds me of like maybe 10 years ago when I first started getting into craft beer back in like late 2009, early 2010. You gave me a beer like this and I would be like, oh man, that's super hoppy or whatever. But after a couple of years, I was like, oh, this is really nice. But to me, the best word to describe this beer, it's going to sound bad, like I'm dissing it or something, but generic. It's just like a generic imperial ale. That's kind of what I'm getting out of it. Nice malt character, nice hop character, but nothing distinguishing itself for like a certain style. It's just like generic to a T, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, it smells pretty good. It smells sweet, yet a little bit of bitterness. Yeah, it smells all right. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. So 7%, but on the palate, it's not boozy per se, but it has like a warmth to it on the palate into the chest. At 7.5% nowadays, that's crazy to say, but this is an old school style where it doesn't hide the alcohol as well as so many of these newer beers. Body in this one, straight up medium body. The mouthfeel, it's crisp. It's pretty clean actually on the palate, like a slight lingering bitterness. And it's not refreshing, but it's just nice. Like the mouthfeel is just nice. That crispness, that effervescent kind of feel to it, nice. Right up front, there's caramel, a little bit of toffee, maybe a touch of nuttiness, touch of molasses, sweeter malt characters. There's an underlying like breadiness too. But as soon as mid-palate hits, that's where the hops hit. They're earthy, they're dirty, almost copper coin-esque in how it's delivered to the palate. Like, again, an old school, like, English ale of some sort. There's a little bit of a floral character, a little bit of like a spicy, like, noble hop thing going on as well. That carries on to the back of the palate. This one finishes with a moderate bitterness, semi-dry, and really balanced. But here's the thing. It's like, I feel like if you're a new age craft beer drinker and you come in, you've come in the scene the past 5 years, I'm not sure, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but I'm not sure somebody could appreciate as much as this beer was as popular and sought after, say, 10 to 12 years ago. This was a beer every winter. If you lived in the West New York area, you probably grabbed at least a 6-pack of this, right? I don't see that being the case for a lot of new age drinkers at this point. That said, I never did love this one. I've always appreciated it. I always enjoyed it to some degree, but it never was like a great beer for me. It's just solid. Picture an English Pale Ale, an English ESB kicked up to 7.5%. It has a lot of those same characters, especially the hop presence with that copper coin kind of dirty, earthy thing going on. A little bit of floral-esque, spicy, like kind of like German noble hop thing. It's kind of like an imperial like English ale meeting like an imperial like German ale. Like, it's kind of weird. But I think it works well for what they're going for. I just think nowadays, not many people are going to gravitate towards this. I'd imagine, I didn't check out on tap, I'd imagine this probably is not higher than like a 3.5 or maybe like a 3.6 on Untappd or something like that. And I know why. But yeah, pretty good overall. Like I said, 7.5%. You tell it's a bigger beer. It warms the palate, it warms the chest. But it's not boozy, it's just warming. And that's kind of what you want from a winter warmer or winter ale. So I can't sit here and knock this beer. At the same time, I don't love this. I never loved this. So that rating that I was talking about that they might get on tap, that's pretty much what I'm going to give this one. So not my favorite from Southern Tier Report. The rest in here, we'll just say that this beer, I can... Rating doesn't matter. Let's just say I enjoy this one, but it was never one of my favorites. So I don't have any issue at giving this beer a high 3.5 out of 5. I'm with 3.6 out of 5. Nothing amazing, but I think if you want to kind of understand where like beers were 10 years ago as far as like seasonals, or you want to drink a winter warmer from a US brewery that has like old school English vibes to it without the cinnamon and the clove and the ginger or whatever the actual spices are for the winter warmer. I forgot the exact ones that they use, but this is not spiced and you can tell. So 3.6 out of 5. Not a great score, but it's not a bad score. And I'm going to drink the rest of that and have no problem putting it down. So price and availability, $9.99 6-pack. So you're talking $10 a 6-pack for a 7.5% winter warmer. It's a fucking great deal. You don't see that too often anymore, so I can't. I mean, it's not a great beer, but for $10 a 6-pack, if you're just looking for something with some nice flavors that has a bigger ABV, I think it's worth it. And availability, wherever you see Southern Tier. I feel like if you see Southern Tier, this is one of their seasonal offerings that you probably should see every year. Maybe not, I don't know, but that's what I think. And maybe it'll be, you know, 11 or 12 bucks a 6-pack, and that's still a good deal. So not much more to say about it. If you've had this one before, let me know what you think about it. Like I said, there's a lot of people who've had this one. It's been out for a long time. But if you're new into craft beer or you stick to only like a half dozen styles nowadays, like the hype styles, give this one a go. And you'll kind of get an idea of older school seasonal winter beers. This is to a T that. So don't have any more things to say, which is crazy because it's Beer Patrol and I like to quack. Check back next Wednesday for another West New York Wednesday, and check back tomorrow for the Thanksgiving beer that I'll be reviewing, which nothing crazy, but hopefully it's delicious. Anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by. To the next one. Cheers.